Hi, welcome to part 3 of the making of Lady Mary Killigrew. This one. Let's get started. So we have 4 strap connectors. This is alternative A on my pattern. Actually, I just want to show you quickly. This is how alternative B looks. Here's both alternative A and B, so you can see this. This is the B. That's a little droplet down there, and here's the one that we are making. Just so you see them in real life, the one that we aren't making. So what we are doing here is we're putting double-sided tape on the back of them, and then we cut only squares for the back part. The thing is, this vinyl is not strong enough to carry a heavy big bag, or I don't think so at least. So I like to double up, and in order to do so, I will make 2 layers. So one is cut precisely from the pattern, the other is not. It's because it's easier to cut that afterwards. We will sew around from there and up there, down on all of them, and we'll stop there. It's only the strap itself that we're going to sew right now. This part we're going to sew when we sew it on the bag. So what we'll do now, when we have sewn around this one, we will clip around it, make it a little smaller. Here on the strap itself, we make it real double. This is now a little smaller. That's so we don't want it to stick out. We don't want it to show at all, actually. So that's how we make all 4. Now we got all 4 of those. Then we do the same with the small straps they go across here with a little rivet on these. So we need to sew around them to get top stitch around. And now we can cut a little hole in each side of these where the rivet is going to go. So now we are ready to put rivets in these. So here we have the metal rectangles that are 1 inch, that fits well with these 1-inch straps. So on the pattern there's a fold line. So let's just fold where it says fold. We will sew a little seam comfortably below the metal. Pretty thick, so be careful when you go back. Sometimes machines don't like that so much. And then the rest of the strap is going to be caught in the seam when we sew them on. Maybe it's more safe to just turn here and sew forward. Pull the metal so we're sure it's all the way up to the end. There, now we are ready to sew these on. But in order to help us, so it's only this lower part, of course, that's going to be sewed on. But we might as well stick a little double-sided tape there, because it makes it easier to hold it in place while we sew around it. Now we're ready to sew them onto the bag. Let's start on the front. There's a marking on the pattern. We make sure it goes a little down here because we don't want to get too caught up in this seam. So that should be good. Almost, we can still put it to the center of the strap. I think that should be good. So we start, this is going to be a little thick even here, but we start on this end. So we sew slowly across the strap because that's now very, very, very thick. And then we try to sew a beautiful oval. Then we go across again. This is now over the zipper and everything, so this is pretty scary. That's the front. Yeah, so if we cut a little mark in the center of this, on the bottom one, and a little mark in the center of this, they should meet up. But we will check after we have glued them in place and think we're good. We're going to check. They should come exactly in the corner of the zipper. Now we can see here. Does it match? Right. Now we can sew the back. And now we can put on, now we can mark for these ones, these little straps. That goes for that. Here's a rivet cap that we use. Just clip that on. When you hear the click, you know it's good. Just position it under. There we go. So when we are sewing that top edge, when we finally finished, in order to not come in conflict with this and try to sew through the metal, we clip them in place or make sure that they are out of the way while we remember to get them out of the way. Now they're ready, so let's get on with the bottom gusset and the side gusset, and put the little purse feet on. Okay, so here's the bottom, here's the bottom of the side gusset. And while I'm at it, I'm folding the seam allowance over to the bottom and top stitching. And then the other side. Now we're going to put this rubber foam to strengthen the bottom and the sides. I'll just fasten that, and in order to fasten that, let me see. Mark the center here as well. Center there. And then I'll take double-sided tape. I'll put that along This is to hold the foam in place while we're working on it. Now we do have the center here. And I'm centering it sideways as well. So now we need to put the purse feet on. So I'll mind my markings here a little. We need a little hole for the purse feet to go through. The screw, there's a screw in them. In the ones that I have. You might have other purse feet, and purse feet aren't really that necessary, but I think it's pretty cool when the bag is sitting on the floor, that it's, you know, in a restaurant or a coffee shop, that it has feet to sit on. You'd get less dirty, get less virus. Okay, so we need to get rid of these little things that come in the hole there. There. First we want something to strengthen it. I'm thinking that the vinyl and this foam isn't enough by itself, so I'll have little extra cork here that I can. I'm just trying to make sure that the screw that we screw the purse feet on is never ever going to fall out. So this is a little extra insurance, little pieces of cork or leather or something that you have that's a little sturdy. I like these oval ones. I like them. They're little bullets. 2, 4, 6. And then we need 6 screws. 4, 6. Take the screw, stick it through the hole. Then we screw this on. You have to just get started right. Then it's a piece of cake. I'll just check the screws with my little girly screwdriver here. Okay, so now we're ready to put in the bottom and the side gusset to fasten that to the front of the bag. And still haven't marked the bottom here. There. So we start at the bottom, that's the easiest. Mid-mark against mid-mark. When we come to the side here, this is where we cut next to the seam. You see the seam here? Next to there we cut as long as a notch, or what, a snip, as far as the seam allowance goes. This so we can turn this 90 degrees. And keep it pretty. We do the same on the other side. I wonder if they think this little rubber foam is a little big right there. One little snip. Fold it around the corner. And now we can actually sew. And it's always best to sew from this side where you can see your little snip. Go a little back and forth here before the corner, before my little snip. Back and forth, careful. Fold that over. The needle I'm using for this vinyl and cork is 110. Okay, now I'll snip off a little of the seam allowance here. A little less than half. Because we don't need too much bulk inside the bag. So now we come to an important step. We are going to top stitch. Yeah, first we check to see if everything looks good. Yes, everything looks good. Check out the corners. Yes, they look good. We want to see, we want this seam allowance here to be held in place and spread good. So we're going to top stitch at the bottom only, as far as we can get to the side, which is almost all the way to the side. The seam allowance is now turned up towards the bag, not the bottom. So I'll stop there. So yeah, it's easier to sew until 1/2 inch from the edge, then I stop. Now this will always be nice. So we do the same on the other side, but that's a little harder. It's a little harder to sew, and we don't want to crunch the bag too much. So the way we do it here on the other side is we mark again, of course. We do it from the center. We do this in 3 steps. We want to have to sew the bottom first so that we can top stitch it. So we cut again in the corner, only as far as the seam allowance go. We go back and forth just to that little snip we made. There. And now we top stitch. Wait. And now we top stitch that seam there. It's easy to do it when we haven't sewn the sides. So let's start 1/2 inch again from the side. You have to give us plenty of room there, so 1/2 inch is the least you should have. Spreading the seam allowance while I'm sewing. Oy. Stopping there. And now we can continue up the sides. Sticking out a little. And now we can cut the seam allowance again. A little, cut a little less than half of it. So now we're done with the exterior of the bag. So now we come to the lining parts. Thank you so much for watching part 3. Hopefully I'll see you in part 4, the last one.